Architects and interior designers Silvio, Rech and Lesley Carstens are legends in their industry, and you can see why. They've spent the last 25 years making a name for themselves with their specialized and unique custom products exclusive to their clients.
And I was lucky enough to get a personal tour from Silvio and Lesley themselves, and it was breathtaking.
Hi, Ayanada. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you as well.
Hello, Ayanada. Welcome.
Thank you so much. What a beautiful home striking off the bat.
You're welcome to our home. This is our Bauhaus machine for living in. Here we have our studio on this side, and then we connected with this incredible view of Joburg to our house over there by this thin concrete slab which is suspended in the sky.
You know, we like to have a work-life balance, so there's work on this side, living on that side, and the Eduardo Villa sculpture, because work life and a little bit of art, that has a nice balance. Then we also have the shape of the roof. It's also a style of architecture which is called Googie, which comes from Lauta in America. And the original bungalow that was here was a little Googie style bungalow. So it's a modern version of the old bungalow, and it was infatuated, the style was infatuated with interstellar travel, the Jetsons, James Bond, all those sort of lovely things, and that's the sculpture that we thought would conjure up images or crystallize your thoughts on those sort of topics.
Oh, well, I can't wait to go through the experience of this home. Are we headed down the stairs?
Let's go. Okay, so this is our half-felt veranda house. What we've done is we've created this is our downstairs veranda, and we've created a modern version of a Joburg half-felt house, which is off-shutter cast concrete columns, and then it's embedded between indigenous vegetation on both sides.
There seems to be a big play with the home itself, with the environment. It seems like you've built the home to fit with the environment. Can you touch up a bit about that?
Well, when we first built the house, it was wall-to-wall wattle trees, and so and eucalyptus trees, which are all non-indigenous. So we cut down about 50 trees, and then in the interim we planted about 80 olives and wild olives and more indigenous trees along here. So the birds are coming back, and so it's a real connection with nature now.
There really is.
Yeah.
It just seems like you're trying to keep the outside in.
I'd like to talk to you about this table. The chairs are not to Le Corbusier, the founder of the modern movement, and the table in the travertine looks very altar-like, very simple, very bold, very strong, and that with the view as a backdrop along this colonnade is one of the essays we really enjoy.
Oh yes, such an amazing feature just before you walk into the home. Beautiful.
This house is inspirational both inside and out. Silvio and Lesley are also interior designers and run their own practice specializing in creating unique artisanal pieces.
This is the heart of the house. Although it's a modern glass building and concrete, we like to create this coziness around the fireplace, because that's the kind of place where people meet and chat and drink wine and have conversations, and we sort of celebrated the fireplace with a Carlos Scarpa inspired sculpture made out of cast concrete.
So this, in terms of incorporating the old and the new building, this whole sawtooth roof, the fireplace, these columns and the fenestration here were all part of the old building.
And then also you will see that when we move down to this area, there's quite a big version of that plant and that green lung, which is part of the old house, together with the original tiles that were part of the house, just to connect the old with the new. So we can probably go down and have a look at the old tiles.
Please, let us.
Sure. You know, 60 years ago, this was a modern piece of glass. It's no longer a modern piece of glass. But we looked through it and we sort of retained it and celebrated it, and put the type of plant that kind of deals with the inside, outside, and our connection with plant life and our connection to that light fitting. So you always feel like you're surrounded by plants in one way or another, although you're in a concrete building.
Yes, I love how intentional everything is. And again, that reminder that you're trying to draw the outside in and not make it feel like separate pieces.
So, I mean, I always love a house that's permeable. You know, it's not a single entry and a single exit. So with this house here, we've we've got doorways that you can come in at any angle and out at any angle.
So we're in the kitchen now, and obviously kitchens are hotly contested spots in the house.
Very much so.
So everybody loves designing kitchens. We love this sort of monolithic slab, almost like a sacrificial altar, and then the very minimal kind of cabinetry and the 2 cylinders to suck the fumes out. So it's a very minimal kind of line, but it has a strong aesthetic and sends a strong message. And from the kitchen itself, and you can see that when we're cooking, we have lots of people around, and you can see by the stools, it becomes another little heart of the house, and it's connected to nature. And then another aspect that is worth noting is the Aga stove was an original stove that was here, so we've kept that as a memory of the old house. And next to it, these little benches were also part of the old house.
It's a bit of a house of memories and exploration. It's memories looking for pieces of furniture, glass objects, paintings and everything. And then exploration, because we also love to explore different materials, and we can take chances in our own house.
Okay, so welcome to our bedroom. This is a pièce of résistance, and as you can see, the view from here was one of the major concerns when we were designing this house.
What a beautiful space.
You know, one of the things in architecture that we love is volume, as we saw in the film as well. But the idea of this capsule, this volume, this high space, the tall columns, and the skylight coming down, what actually happens is the sun comes through the skylight, and during the day this dot moves around the room. The timber gives it that kind of warmth. So we have the same color timber floor, wall and ceiling and skylight, so the quality of the light's quite warm. And then it's the sort of grays complement that in a sense. And then finally we have the splashes of color like this carpet.
And then our bed, for instance, with these little tables which we designed on a route. During COVID, we didn't have a headboard, so we pushed them together, we made a little headboard, and we turned it into a headboard, and it's stayed with us ever since.
And it works so beautifully in this space.
And we love to design bespoke pieces that are different. You know, for instance, we've designed and seen so many vanities in our lives, but we thought it would be lovely to do a vanity that looked like a tree, an abstraction of a tree.
And then this flows sculpturally into our bathroom, which we try to make look a bit more sculptural. So it's this big sort of plinth, monolithic plinth over here. It doesn't look like the classic bath. And then our wardrobe is actually this divider between the bedroom and the bathroom. And so when you're in it, you're always aware of changing seasons, changing light, changing spaces. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me in your beautiful home today and taking the time to give me a tour. Not only did you show me how beautiful it was, but you gave me a lot of education on the concepts of design. And I know that from now on, I'll be throwing some random comments in my own space.
Perfect.
Great, you're very welcome.